Welcome back to the cryptowrld channel, everyone. My name is Josh, and right now we are seeing Bitcoin form a pattern that we normally only see when Bitcoin is bottoming out. On top of that, the Bitcoin open interest is going crazy right now, and we have a massive buy wall to the downside. All of that and more in this video, so make sure you're watching all the way to the end so that you're not missing out on any of this important information. And just before we jump into it, you might as well leave a like down below, and if you're new to the channel, make sure to subscribe with notifications turned on for more updates just like this every single day. But with all of that out of the way, let's get straight to what this video is about. So right here, on the Bitcoin US dollar chart on the daily time frame, and looking in the daily RSI for Bitcoin, we are right now forming higher lows in the lower half of this RSI indicator, so below 50. Just going back and looking at the last few times that has happened for Bitcoin, we saw this happen at the end of the September correction. We also saw this happen back in the middle of 2021, and the time before that was all the way back during September and October 2020. And what do all of these time periods have in common? Well, they all came after bearish price action, as you can see here on the chart. But what's even more interesting is during all of these time periods, we saw relatively sideways price action for Bitcoin. And obviously that's what we've been experiencing over the past 1 month approximately. Just a lot of sideways price action for Bitcoin, while the daily RSI is slightly trending to the upside if you're looking at these higher lows. So what does this mean for Bitcoin moving forward? Well, it means that there is a very good chance that this is Bitcoin basically bottoming out for the correction and getting ready for perhaps another move to the upside within the next 1 to 2 months approximately. Keep in mind, this is on the daily time frame. Each one of these little candles just here is an entire day, so don't expect a full recovery overnight. It's going to take some time. And also, one thing to keep in mind is what we saw in the middle of 2021. As I was just talking about, we did end up seeing this signal basically telling us a good time to accumulate Bitcoin, but then it wasn't until around a month later that we finally saw the recovery take place for Bitcoin. So that's why I said earlier that there's a very good chance that the recovery is going to happen within the next 1 to 2 months, just to be a little bit more conservative. And on top of that, looking in the Bitcoin Fear and Greed Index, we are spending another day in extreme fear according to this index. And as I explained in yesterday's Bitcoin update video, we normally see this anytime Bitcoin is getting somewhat close to a market's bottom. Just like how when we see extreme greed on this indicator, that's how you know that Bitcoin is potentially getting close to some sort of market top and due for a correction. And so I've got this Bitcoin chart here on the daily time frame basically to show us the time periods where the Bitcoin Fear and Greed Index was sitting in extreme fear. And what's interesting is these time periods where we were sitting in extreme fear on this index, they also come in confluence with these other time periods where the Bitcoin daily RSI began a short-term uptrend in the lower half of this RSI indicator. So it is definitely great to see some more confluence here on the chart, showing us that a recovery for the Bitcoin price is potentially not too far away, as in within the next 1 to 2 months once again. Not only that, of course, we are still looking at this wyke of accumulation pattern here on the 12-hour time frame for Bitcoin, and right now we are potentially in phase B according to this pattern, and we're exactly where we should be. Now, it's important to mention that these grayed out candles just here should not be taken as an exact prediction. Instead, I'll be using them as more like a guideline of what we could expect moving forward. And by the way, for any new viewers on the channel, I actually copied those grayed out candles from the price action that we saw for Bitcoin back in June and July 2021. But in order for this wyke of accumulation to continue to play out, we still need to see the spring phase for this pattern, which is basically the Bitcoin price dropping slightly below the price levels that we've been at recently. So basically, if the Bitcoin price drops below 45,000, and even if we drop below 44,000, that is perfectly okay according to this wyke of accumulation, just as long as Bitcoin remains above the September low, which is coming in at around 39,500 US dollars. Because while the Bitcoin price is still above around 40,000 US dollars, then on the larger timeframes on the daily chart, for example, we are still forming higher lows here. And also, this wyke of accumulation does suggest a potential recovery starting later this month or possibly early February. And just before we talk about some other really important charts later in this video, I'll first just quickly mention the Bitcoin order books across all of these exchanges, because right now we've got a massive amount of buy orders coming in close to 45,000 US dollars per Bitcoin. So this just means that there's basically a lot of people wanting to buy Bitcoin at 45,000, and so because of that, there's a lot of support coming into play at around 45,000, which is why Bitcoin has been holding above that level for quite some time now. And if you're looking in the sell orders above the current Bitcoin price, there's not really a major sell wall, at least on these exchanges. But if you want to know a potential point of resistance looking at these sell orders, we do have a bit of a spike in the sell orders at around 48,000 US dollars per Bitcoin. So it would make sense to expect perhaps a little bit of resistance at around 48,000. And now checking out this important Bitcoin chart, this is the Bitcoin all exchanges estimated leverage ratio. The subscribers on this channel that have been watching my last few Bitcoin update videos would already know exactly what this chart is. But basically all we need to know is this black line just here is the Bitcoin price on the daily time frame, and anytime this purple line is spiking to the upside, that is when we're just about to see a very volatile move. We saw this happen back in April 2021 when Bitcoin topped out at that $65,000 all-time high just before the May crash. And then just as Bitcoin was bottoming out towards the second half of July 2021, we also saw another spike in open interest, basically telling us that another huge move is just about to happen. And considering the fact that we already experienced a lot of bearish price action over the last couple months, and also during that time period, we were sitting in extreme fear and the daily RSI was trending to the upside, and the funding rates across exchanges were trending towards negative territory. Because of all of that, the next volatile move for Bitcoin back then was simply a massive short squeeze, which is essentially the Bitcoin price skyrocketing to the upside. And sometimes this can have a little bit of a delay on the Bitcoin price. For example, back in April 2021, we saw the huge spike in this open interest, but we didn't see the massive crash in the Bitcoin price until around 1 month later. And then also looking at that spike in the open interest during July, we didn't really see the short squeeze until around 1 to 2 weeks after we saw that initial spike to the upside. So I know this sounds a little bit vague, but basically within the next 1 to 2 weeks, but possibly within the next 1 month from now, it is very likely we'll see another extremely volatile move. And it's also likely that we're going to see some sort of move like that to the upside, once again, within the next 1 month or so, just to be a little bit conservative. And that also falls in line with this Wyckoff accumulation that does suggest a recovery potentially later this month or early February. And on top of that, looking in the US dollar currency index here on the daily time frame, as I mentioned in my last Bitcoin update video that I posted yesterday on the channel, the US dollar currency index, also known as the DXY, is currently in its retest phase, testing previous resistance, which was then support, and now potentially acting as resistance again if we can see a confirmed rejection from this level. And by the way, this level is coming in at approximately 96.5. And so if the DXY chart sees a rejection from that level to the downside, then that would be very bullish for the Bitcoin price, because obviously if the US dollar is falling to the downside, it doesn't take much for Bitcoin to be bullish against the US dollar, which would be falling. So basically the Bitcoin price is negatively correlated with the US dollar currency index. For example, back during September, the DXY chart was moving to the upside, but during that same time period, Bitcoin was in a correction going to the downside. And then as we entered into October, the DXY had a pullback here while Bitcoin was flipping very bullish. And then in around the middle of November, the DXY pumped to the upside, and that was when we saw more bearish price action for Bitcoin. But recently, over the past 1 month approximately, the DXY hasn't really done that much. And so that's one big reason why Bitcoin hasn't really done that much as well. So this possible rejection here is definitely something that I am keeping an eye on. Right now, it hasn't been confirmed, but I will be keeping you updated on this chart as things continue to progress. And if you want to get extra Bitcoin content throughout the day and also some updates on altcoins from time to time, make sure you follow me over on my Twitter, and the link to my Twitter is in the description down below and also in the pinned comment. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like down below, and if you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe with notifications turned on so that you don't miss out on any of these future updates that I post every single day. And before you click off, you might as well check out one of these uploads if you haven't already. I've got a Bybit tutorial video showing you how I place trades over on Bybit, and I've got a passive income video here showing you how I earn passive income every day on my crypto holdings. And as always, I appreciate all of your support on the channel at the moment. I can't thank you guys enough. But anyway, that is everything that I have to say for this update. I really hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you all in the next video.